Morgan joins us now first in the morning with entertainment, and we've heard from Baldoni's side now.
Yes, so yesterday we talked on the show about how a federal judge in New York dismissed Baldoni's $400 million countersuit against Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, the publicist, and then, of course, the $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times. So we heard from, like you said, Blake Lively's team. Now we're hearing from Baldoni's team. His lawyer, Brian Friedman, has said this: Miss Lively's own claims are no truer today than they were yesterday. And with the facts on our side, we march forward with the same confidence that we had when Miss Lively and her cohorts initiated this battle, and look forward to her forthcoming deposition, which I will be taking. So what we do know is that, yes, the lawsuit was dismissed. But they are going to try to amend 4 of the 7 claims, part of that suit. What they are not allowed to amend, and which has been completely dismissed, is essentially the bulk of the suit, which was extortion and defamation. They cannot amend any of those claims. Those have been taken off the table. So I think a big question now is Blake Lively, who still has sued Baldoni for allegations of sexual harassment on the set of It Ends With Us and creating essentially this smear retaliatory campaign, will she go to trial with this next March? Or is she going to drop this altogether after his countersuit has been completely dismissed? So it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds. But yeah, I think, we heard from Blake Lively's team yesterday, and we were kind of patiently waiting to see what Baldoni's side was going to say. And they're making it very clear. They're not backing down completely just yet.
That's right.
All right. Meantime, Katy Perry has had a pretty busy 2025 so far. She's been to space. She's on tour as well.
Yeah, so, and now we're hearing rumors that things aren't looking so good with Orlando Bloom and her. They've been together for 10 years. They've definitely had their ups and downs. They got engaged back in 2019. They had a daughter, I think in 2020. Her name's Daisy, so cute. But yeah, we're hearing that because of the backlash that she has received recently, Jeff, like you were saying, she's had a big year. She went to space with Blue Origin, got backlash for that. Ticket sales are down for her tour. Then people she's been receiving backlash based on the choreography and just her tour alone. So people are saying that's contributing to tension between her and Orlando with sources. Now, once again, these are just sources. Nothing's been confirmed, but sources told People that the stress has caused tension. And then a source told Page 6 it's over and that they're waiting till her tour is over before they split.
Huh. Okay.
So we'll see. Listen.
We'll see.
I've talked about this couple before. They've definitely had their highs and lows, so we'll see what happens. But I love them. They've been together a long time. They have a daughter. I hope this isn't true.
Yeah. Okay. Meghan Markle. Yeah. Apparently, an interview about her has been mysteriously deleted?
Yes. So this is really interesting. So Brooke Shields, who we know and love, she was on a podcast. And this podcast is actually with King Charles's goddaughter named India Hicks. So this is earlier this month. And she was sharing a story on this podcast about how she was on a panel with Meghan Markle back in 2024. And this panel was talking about breaking barriers and shaping narratives. And Meghan Markle had talked at this panel about how when she was 11 years old, we've heard this story before, if you follow Meghan Markle, she didn't like this commercial she saw about women essentially, working in the kitchen and that's their job. And so at 11 years old, she wrote to this company, they changed the commercial. But Brooke Shields tells this story that she was getting really serious. It was going on. And so she interrupted her in this panel and basically said, well, when you were 11, you were doing that. When I was 11, I was playing a child prostitute in movies, specifically Pretty Baby, which came out in 1978. So she was trying to make it lighthearted. She was trying to be funny about it. She just said, I had to interrupt her because this story was going on and it was getting a little serious. And this crowd wasn't here to be, listening to a story that would go on and be this serious. And now it's been taken down.
That little bit from the panel?
Bit from the bit of her telling this story on this podcast. The podcast episode has disappeared.
Because you know what I did? I did listen to that panel, and it was totally fine and appropriate. It wasn't inappropriate. Right. It wasn't rude how Brooke jumped in.
Yeah, she was being funny. She
was. It was some levity, and it was appreciated. It was kind of funny. So, and self-deprecating on Brooke's part.
That's it. But I guess maybe, people are very sensitive when it comes to anything negative said about Meghan Markle. And although I don't think she meant it in a negative way, she was saying okay, we get it.
Yeah.
The story was going on. It was a little serious. So I had to interject there and be funny. And I don't know, maybe Meghan Markle didn't like that.
Yeah, I think the bigger piece of the story perhaps is you can actually erase something from the internet.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't think that was possible. I thought once it's online, it's there forever.
That's how
you do that.
We've been told.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Still ahead this morning, I'm going to sit down and actually talk to a couple of pretty big stars, Dakota Johnson and Chris Evans, ahead of Friday's release of their new movie, Materialists. Now, this is about a matchmaker who actually discovers the true meaning of love. It's like really interesting. A lot of people are calling this the return of the rom-com.
Ooh, yeah. I've been waiting for this so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know. A lot of people have.
Another way to talk about this is directed and written by Canadian Celine Song. As well. We should mention that, too. So
she's amazing.
Yeah, we're going to talk to Dakota and Chris about that and so much more.
All right. Before we go to break, guys, you know what with our hours, I mean, we don't get out much. But I did last night. Friend of the morning show, Jann Arden, was in Toronto at Massey Hall for her mixtape tour concert. She was on the show not long ago promoting it. Let me just tell you, it was so good. This is her singing Good Mother, which ended the concert. Wow. And she sang all her hits, but then also covered a lot of 90s hits. She's hitting Edmonton next. So if you can, go out and see this because you know what? We didn't show a sound up there because all you heard was me. And that's not fair to Jann and Jann's fans.
Or any of us, really. No.
I apologize to anyone who's sitting beside me. But everyone actually was singing her songs. It was so good. Jann, you killed it.